Howdy y'all, Caleb here. I'm cooking up a little something here. um, I'm building a list for a tournament this weekend and trying to fit in a Saurus Sunblood. Is there really a reason to? No, it's not the best unit we've got, but we've got Galatian Champions in this new edition of the General's Handbook, and so I need to bring some foot heroes that maybe can survive a little bit and might serve a purpose. We have some of those, and I'm going to have those in my list. But I also wanted to get this Saurus Sunblood in my list, and I think there's a unique opportunity here, and we'll get to that here in a second. Um, let's talk for quickly about Galatian Champions. If you haven't heard about Galatian Champions in the new General's Handbook, you need some heroes with less than 10 wounds in your list. They become Galatian Champions as long as they're not unique. And those Galatian Champion keywords can do lots of fun things. They get access to new artifacts, enhancements. They score battle tactics. So there's some cool stuff the Galatian Champions can do. So you need at least one or two in your list in this new General's Handbook. So one of the keys to victory is a special rule where Galatian Champions can't be picked as a target for attacks made with missile weapons while they're within 1 inch of friendly battle line units. Seraphon has a lot of battle line units, so that should be pretty easy. Everything from knights, warriors, skinks, even a stegodon could be a battle line. So you can keep these pretty safe as long as the enemy doesn't have the sharpshooter battalion, which lets you just completely forget about that. I think you will see that in quite a few lists, especially things that are leaning into that. Something like Fangs of Sotek or Lumineth Realm Lords, you will see that sharpshooter battalion. So in those cases, your champions are going to get shot. You got to make sure that's going to be okay. Your list can survive without them if you come up against a sharpshooter battalion. Or make them as tough as you possibly can. And I think that's what we're going to do today. So the Sunblood, the Saurus Sunblood, is, I like this model. It's an old model. It's in resin, but it's got this gigantic shield on it, which is pretty sweet. You used to have a really cool rule to keep it to make it even tougher than it normally is now. That's kind of gone away. I hope it gets a nice treatment in the new book whenever we get that. But right now it has 7 wounds, 3 up save, 8 bravery, 5-inch move, pretty slow. Its melee attacks aren't anything to write home about. They're not all that great. On the Coalesce side of things, which is probably where he's going to be played, you'll have 8 total attacks, but really nothing crazy. It is a foot hero after all. He's supposed to be there for support. You do get some exploding 6s to hit, and then wounds of hit equal a mortal wound. So I mean, it has the potential to do a little bit of damage. I mean, I think it works out to about 3 or 4 damage. So not great, but not terrible, I guess. It does have a command ability, which you can give a Saurus unit +1 to wound, which is pretty unique in that this will work into a lot of lists. So like if you're doing a Kotal's Claw list, you're sending in knights, you're already getting that +1 to wound. Let's say for some reason you're not doing the exploding 6s off of one of your other Saurus heroes, you could always do this +1 to wound just to make the hits a little bit more reliable once you're doing all the rolls. So he has a point, he has a use in the army that's not completely wasted. But fairly tough. You know, somehow this little guy has a 3-up save where a giant Carnosaur only has a 4-up. A giant Stegodon only has a 4-up. So decently tough for little hero guy. And that's where I think we have some fun. So here's my idea. Let me know if this is just wasting all my resources into a Galatian champion. So we start off with 7 wounds, 3-up save, -1 damage. That -1 damage is big because it does half a lot of damage that comes into you. So it does make our stuff in Coalesce a lot tougher. For this to work, I'm going to play him into a Thunder Lizard list as my general. And because I can do that, I can get out of the subfaction command trait. So you see that you don't see this too much in books nowadays, the newer books. They don't lock these command traits into subfactions, so hopefully our new book won't do the same thing. But currently, since we're working in an old book, we can either have to opt into these, or we can get out of them with certain hero choices. So in Thunder Lizard, I can make him my general, and I get to choose from the Saurus command traits, which I like this thickly scaled hide. So you get to reroll save rolls of 1 for attacks that target this general. You don't see a lot of reroll save rolls of 1 anymore. That used to be something very common, and that's what Mystic Shield used to do. Now it doesn't. And so this unit who's going to be on a 3-up, -1 damage, has a reroll save rolls of 1, which is pretty rare. A lot of times, if he's getting hit with something important, you'll do all-out defense, or you put Mystic Shield on him, so he's at a 2-up, rerolling 1, so that can be pretty nice. Makes him a little bit tougher. Artifact. I'm going to take this in the battalion that gives you an extra artifact, and that way I can add this Griff Feather Charm, which is a relic of Gallet. This is one of the new General's Handbook's artifacts, and it gives the bearer a ward of 5-up, which is just fantastic. It used to be broken when you could put it on like Mega Gargants and whatnot, but now on these smaller heroes, a ward of 5-up is great. Generally, if you're playing in a Coalesce side of things, you easily have access to a 6-up, but I like this 5-up because he's going to be operating maybe on his own or with a big unit pushing forward. Probably not operating on his own. You want to keep him near battle line so he doesn't get shot. But a 5-up ward is fantastic. That gives you an effective, a healthy amount of wounds here on this guy, especially when you factor in the reroll saves. But then, my favorite part, the aspect of the champion. You could take one of these for free for any Galatian for a Galatian champion in your list. I'm taking Fueled by Gurish Rage. Once per battle before slaying on a 3-up, heal D3 wounds, and the remaining wounds are negated. So as you're taking damage, if they do work through your -1 damage, your re-rolling saves of 1, and your 5-up ward, and he does get slain on a 3-up, you bring him back. This is basically our incandescent Retrosis, but now we can put it on a Saurus guy, which is fun, because we hadn't been able to do that yet. And so this makes him very difficult to kill as far as Galatian champions go. I'm sure other armies have harder to kill Galatian champions. They can do some of the same stuff, but this makes our guy very difficult to kill. So hopefully I can roll into that and use this Galatian champion to score some battle tactics in my game. So let's look at my list here. This is what I think I'm probably going to bring. I've still got like 2 days to decide, so maybe it'll change by then. But here's what we're going with. This is going to be in a Thunder Lizard list, so I can make my Saurus Sunblood, the ultimate Chad here with as tough as he can be. So he is my general with command trait Thickly Scaled Hide, artifact Griff Feather Charm, aspect of the champion Fueled by Gurish Rage. Those things we already talked about. That will be going into that command entourage so I can get the additional artifact. I am going to have a Slann Starmaster with spell Stellar Tempest. A Skink Star Priest. I'm going to just dump the Fusela Conflagration on that Skink Star Priest. It'll be pressing forward with my big unit of warriors. We got a spell Hand of Glory to go along with that. Hand of Glory lets you reroll hit rolls of 1 for a unit. I've got another Skink Star Priest with Celestial Harmony. Celestial Harmony lets you not have to take Battle Shock for either 1 or more units. It can be everything within 18 inches if you roll a 10 or higher on that. So that's very good, especially if you have some big hordes. My battle line, now this is what, yeah, I'm taking 70 warriors. So this is probably where the ideas of this list isn't probably the best, but they're extremely cheap now. That's still a tough unit. With -1 damage, 30 warriors can be difficult for some lists to chew through. We'll see how it does. I've tried a warrior spam list before, and it didn't really go that well. But we'll try it again in this book, or this General's Handbook. My 2 units of 30, I am going to put into Galatian Veteran Battalion. You can fit up to 4 units, but I'm only going to put these 2 so I can get the rest of it into a battle regiment to lower my drops a little bit. But these 30 warriors in the Galatian Veterans will let them fight in that 2nd rank, which is critical because I am taking them with clubs, so I get the rend. And when you pair up a Star Priest with the warriors and let them fight in that 2nd rank, you can actually do some decent damage with these guys. It's nothing to laugh at when they're getting damage. It's working out to 20-something damage going through to 4-up save, which isn't too shabby. One thing that I do like doing with this big block of warriors is, you get Mystic Shield on them. You get Celestial Harmony on them, so they don't have to take any Battle Shock. We might throw the Slann command trait on them to give them another +1 to their save versus shooting. And then all-out defense. So, you know, you could have this 30 block of warriors throwing it up the board on a +3 to save in the shooting phase, +2 in combat, and then they've got to work through every single wound to get that unit off the board. So let's see if this works. It might. Who knows? I do have a unit of Terra Wings in there. Now, I took them by themselves, and the reason I'm doing that, I think they could be a pretty good utility in a Thunder Lizard list, either placed up in the sky or on the board, because of their ability that lets them in the shooting phase. They can roll off against the enemy unit's bravery, and if you roll higher than that, they can't use a command point for the rest of that turn on that unit. That's brutal. So if it goes off, it's 100% worth that 80 points. It might not go off, in which case this is just a fast screening unit. It's 80 points. I'm fine with throwing 80 points at a screen that can move up real quick. It does have a 12-inch move. The ability is 12 inches, and it's ability, not a shooting attack. So I'm probably going to be running these Terror Wings turn 1 since I'm not putting them up in the sky. So once I can throw them forward, I can shut off command abilities for a unit that I'm going to be targeting my 2 Basildons with. I do have 2 Basildons in this list. One's going in the Battle Regiment just to help out with the drops. One's just going on his own. And so then I can shoot both of those into that unit that I've, you know, effectively debuffed to where they can't use all defense. They can't use Inspiring Presence on, and maybe I can take out some units that way. So the list has got some fun. It's got some tech in it. 120 wounds is exactly 2,000 points with our new point increases. 7 drops, so you probably, you know, I'll probably be going second or going first a lot, and I think I'm okay with that. Getting all my buffs up, throwing 30 warriors into you that are completely buffed up, and now you got to deal with those. If I do go second, I'm fine with that too, because I've got plenty of shooting to capitalize on the double turn and send in some warriors that are a little bit slower. The one thing I don't have a lot is movement. I was struggling with whether or not I want this Saurus Sunblood to have the Tunnel Master instead of the way I've got him loaded out so he can teleport around. But in the end, I just want him tough. I want him as tough as possible. So I'll see if he gets killed. I'm sure he will, because those things are, there's still a lot of dice rolls in there, so I'm sure he'll get killed. But anyway, that's my list that I might take this weekend. We'll see how it does. I'll let you know. Let me know if you see any other loadouts that you're taking for your Gallet Champions. And wish me luck. See you guys later.